Alright, in this video I'm going to show you what happens if your reed knife is not new or not in perfect condition, especially a bevel knife. There's a lot of things that can happen with old stones and old sharpening that catches up to you with a new stone that's flat and fresh and ready to go. So here's a couple of pointers that you can use on your bevel knife if, when you're sharpening flat, as we discussed in the previous video, if that doesn't work and your edge doesn't seem to be improving, then we can talk about what to do when that doesn't work. So basically we're using the same stone, but in this time this is probably better to do in your studio, not at the rehearsal hall. Grab a Sharpie or a permanent marker or black marker, and what we're going to do is outline the edge. We're actually going to put it onto the edge and scrape it, not scrape it down, but run it down and create a black line on both sides of the blade here. So I've got my first blade. This is the heavier blade, heavier angle. So I'm just putting it on, pressing it on, not trying to cut the whole thing, just pressing it here. So I'm going to get both sides simultaneously and run that across, and you can see a thin line, black line here. And then there'll be one on the other side as well, which is a little harder to see because that's a flat angle, but it looks like a frame. All right, so what this does is let you know that, you know, if we remove the ink from the marker, then we know we've gotten the edge of the edge. If we don't remove the ink, then obviously it's not getting the edge of the edge, which is why your knife doesn't feel any sharper. In order to get this, just need a little bit of water again, just a couple of drops on your stone. Okay, and for perspective, I'm going to again show you up close here. So first we're going to do is check to see if it's flat. Okay, so first we're going to do just like we did in the previous video. We're going to match that bevel, which is again preset, and then run it down. Okay, and it should remove the black ink. And we can see here that there's still black along the edge of the edge. It may not be the best way to see it here. A little bit of magnification would be good. You know, small loop if you're really OCD like I am. But the edge of the edge isn't quite getting hit. We're not far from it, but that's all it takes to miss. So the way to fix that is to raise the angle. And again, this is for an older knife. A new knife on the Oboes.ch knife should be okay, but on a new knife that has seen, an old knife, sorry, that has seen a lot of use and a lot of sharpening, you know, these things, a lot of things can happen. So the way to account for that on this stone is to have it flat, and then basically you're gonna lift up the knife. Now this is a muscle memory movement here. I'm moving it up, I'm moving my thumb and twisting it up, and it's pretty much consistent every time I do this. So if you take a few minutes and just practice that and get that spot, it'll be pretty close all the time. You don't want to be here and then here and then here and then here. You want to be pretty much in the same area. It doesn't have to be perfect, but same area. The more you do it, the more you'll get used to it. So to do this here, we'll have our bevel. This is the bevel angle, and we're going to lift that up. In order to hit that edge of the edge, we've raised that angle a little bit, and now one stroke, watch your fingers. Okay, we should be able to see that, especially up by the tip here, we've removed that ink. Behind it, there's still a little bit of ink, and that's okay because we've actually lifted the edge away from this larger bevel. So we've got this thinner area here, and that's why the ink behind the edge hasn't been removed yet, because we're not abrading behind the edge. We're just abrading the edge at this point. So this is what the technique to use when you try to use the bevel angle flat and it's not working. So we're going to do this a few more times. Alright, so I've got that. Here's my bevel. Here's up. Okay, and I know that I hit it before. You might want to keep checking. You don't have to hit it with the Sharpie every single time that you take a stroke. I know that I'm in the ballpark. but go slow and deliberate. That first time is usually the hardest. So, and if once you do this though, you always have to raise that angle. You can't go back. Okay, that's 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and we'll see here that once again we've clearly removed all the ink from the line of the edge, and there's a little bit of ink left behind over here, which is fine because the edge of the edge is actually gotten. I can feel some burr here, so it's okay. Now we're going to flip the knife over, and that still has our ink. And now we're going to do the other side. Again, start flat. So to give you an idea, we're starting flat to see if that works. Okay, 1 stroke. And again, I can see I've actually removed some ink behind the line, and the edge itself, a little bit wet there, hold on. The edge itself is still black. So again, the case where through a stone that's older, that's dished, through use, through improper maintenance, you know, a lot of things that happen over time that you need to account for, and this is the way to account for it when you're using any stone, actually, especially the smaller stone. So to account for that, we're going to do that same lift that we did with the bevel side. So here's flat, and then lift it up. Again, just practice a few times. Get used to that position. Again, you don't want to be all the way up here, all the way there, just enough to get it up off the stone. And once that feels comfortable, then you would make the stroke. So here, again, you would do this more flat. So here's my angle, and then I'm coming straight across. Okay, and then we'll check the back here. And I can see that I've removed some. All right, I might have to do a couple more strokes to accommodate for that. Again, the angle may be a little bit higher or a little bit lower, so 1 stroke is usually not too indicative, but I can see though my line is definitely clear in here. I have to do a little bit more at the tip, but that's fine. So we'll do a couple more strokes, but we know that I'm hitting the ink, and that's the key here. So I'll raise it up. 1, 2, 3, and each time I put it flat and then raise it. 4. I'm not putting it back without putting it flat first. So this is, that muscle memory kicks in, and it works. So that's 5 strokes. Okay. Here we are again. And just like we had on the other side, the black ink is actually removed in front of the tip, especially here. Everywhere else it's off. So here, it's actually removed in front, and there's a little black ink behind. So this is an easy way to show if you're even hitting the edge of the edge. Alright, so now we're just going to do a few more strokes on this and clean it up. Now, before, as we were doing the maintenance steps, where you're just doing a few swipes, the same thing here. So we're going to take our angle. Here's your bevel, and don't forget we're raising this now. And once you do this, you always need to do this. Raise it up, take my stroke. And you can do alternating, or you can do several strokes at a time. So here I'm flat, lift it up. Okay. Lift it up again. And flat, lift it up. And several of these just for refreshing. So again, if you're, just for refreshing. And one last one here, lift it up. And the last stroke should always be away, because if it's a right-handed knife, you want the burr to be in the front here. So one last time away, lift it up, nice and easy, and there you go. And the burr's over here again, and that, you can feel the teeth, you can feel that little burr forming. You don't want a big burr. It's very little with alternating strokes. It's just one little burr. And you're ready to scrape again. Until next time. Thank you.